Hello, my name's Simonize, and welcome to another Simonize Guide video. Today we're talking about Tricks of the Trade, one of the two very powerful new abilities for rogues in Wrath of the Lich King. We'll cover if you should be using this ability in your raids, and if so, what are the best ways to use it. Let's get right into it and cover how exactly this amazing new ability works. Tricks of the Trade is a 30-second cooldown ability, 15 energy cost, and 20-yard range which you cast on a friendly player in your raid. Once you cast this on another player, nothing happens immediately. It only activates once you attack an enemy. When that happens, you get a 6-second buff that transfers all the threat from that first attack and everything else you do to the player you cast tricks on. At the same time, that player gets a plus 15% damage buff for those 6 seconds, increasing their damage dealt. Both of these buffs can be extended from 6 to 10 seconds by using Glyph of Tricks of the Trade, which is usually a good idea if you are planning on using Tricks of the Trade often. There are two main ways to use this ability in a raid setting: for the threat transfer onto tanks, and for the damage boost to other damage dealers. The threat transfer is extremely powerful, allowing you to attack bosses and trash before your tank has even touched them. This affords you extra time dealing damage compared to other classes who need to hesitate in those opening seconds. Using tricks competently in this way is a very real personal DPS gain and is also helping the tank establish threat, making other damage dealers in your raid less likely to rip threat and die, especially on AoE pulls. The second way to use this ability is to cast it on a damage dealer in your raid just to give them the damage buff. After your tricks is activated and you are transferring threat, you can cancel the threat transfer buff off of yourself and the other player will still keep the damage buff. Usually, you do not want to be transferring a load of threat to another damage dealer. The prime targets for this are Affliction Warlocks and Shadow Priests. Both of these specs have talents that allow them to snapshot the damage bonus of a Tricks of the Trade into a damage over time spell, which is refreshed throughout the fight, amounting to a really substantial amount of total damage dealt. Outside of those two specs, you're looking for any high individual damage dealer as a high value Tricks target for boosting damage. Pet classes are generally excluded because Tricks only boosts the player's damage and not the pet. The player damage for Demo Warlocks, Unholy DKs, and Hunters is rather low. You also don't generally want to use this on Arcane Mages, Ret Paladins, or Warriors because they all have abilities that do not stack with the damage boost from Tricks of the Trade, so coordinating that timing is just an extra headache. That leaves Frost Death Knights, Druids, and other rogues as typically good candidates, but really you are just looking for whoever's dealing the most damage outside of the exceptions I listed. Now we know how to use this ability, but should you use it? If you're using it to get extra uptime for the threat transfer purpose, the answer is pretty much always yes. This is just good clean gaming, boosting your uptime, and making everyone else safer as well. For the damage boost purpose, the answer is, well, it depends. Almost always the damage boost from Tricks of the Trade is well worth the energy you spend on it. It just isn't boosting your damage. If you're trying to be a team player and contribute the most you can as a part of your raid team, you should be casting tricks as often as possible to give a boost to your other damage dealers. The trouble comes when your goal is to score a high individual parse on Warcraft logs. Spending your resources to boost other players' damage is in conflict with this goal. To reach this goal, you're better off casting one tricks at the start for a threat or perhaps a Warlock's snapshot, and then never casting it again on the boss. Spend that energy on more Mutilates, Sinister Strikes, Envenoms, or whatever. The damage boost provided by tricks is not counted for your parse or for the parse of the recipient in Warcraft logs calculations. You might be rushing to the comments section already to type, but Simonize, more raid DPS equals faster kill times equals higher DPS numbers, so you should always cast tricks. Well, more raid DPS at the cost of personal DPS needs to be a massive amount of raid DPS versus personal DPS to actually increase your personal parse, and that's just not what's going on here. A personal parse is generally going to be increased by not casting Tricks of the Trade on other damage dealers mid-combat. Boss parsing has always been this way, where the most ideal setup is 24 people playing as team players and one person playing selfishly gives the selfish player the best odds to score a high individual parse. So to wrap it up, should you cast Tricks of the Trade in your raids? Well, if you're trying to be a team player, the answer is yes. Cast it a lot, both for the threat transfer purposes and the damage boost purposes, and probably use the Tricks of the Trade glyph as well. If it is more important to you to maximize your individual parse, well, cast it once before the boss is pulled, and not again. Ditch that Tricks of the Trade glyph as well and sub something else in that can help you deal more individual damage. Thanks for watching the Simonize Show. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Can't wait for more sweet videos? Links are on screen that you can watch right now. Be sure to join the Discord server and pop by on Twitch to catch me live. Links to both are in the video description. Thank you for watching and have a great day.